Welcome to our Devos. We're talking about Jesus. We're talking about overlooked things about Jesus and who he is that we often take for granted. And today, I want to say taken for granted. It's not overlooked. We all know it. But the problem is we often try to sidestep it in our lives. And that is, Jesus is the only one who can forgive. Jesus is the only one who can forgive. I mean, totally forgive someone, totally pardon someone, totally cleanse someone. I'm going to say a really timely thing. I'm not making a political statement because we're out of political season. We don't care. But as you know, the president pardoned his son. Okay, so this was expected. Of course, he pardoned his son. He's got all these crimes. He was convicted. And he made a pardon. Well, somebody on Twitter posted, the president pardoned his son, but Jesus surely won't or can't. It was something like that. Jesus surely won't or can't. And it really rubbed me wrong. Because the truth is, if we believe in Jesus, one thing we have to realize about him is he is capable of forgiving anyone of anything. Now, you might get upset when you hear that, and I'm going to tell you why you get upset when you hear that. Because what you're doing is you take the worst person that you know, and a person that you're like, that person is horrible, that person is awful, that they've done these things. And what you do is you say, because that person is so much worse than me, I don't think it's possible that Jesus could forgive them. When in reality, what we ought to do is we ought to think about sin in general and how perfect God is. And instead of comparing the worst person we know with the best version of ourselves and saying, how could God forgive this? We want to compare any sin, the imperfection of sin, the evil of sin, to how perfect God is. And once you realize how perfect God is, you'll realize just how radical it is that Jesus even chooses to forgive us. And so this is exciting, because what that means is Jesus is so powerful, he is so unbelievably gracious, he has the ability to forgive. We often take for granted the gift of the fact that we are walking around as sinful people, that Jesus died to forgive. I mean, let that sink in. I know it's Christmas season, but let it sink in for a moment that Jesus gave his life and died on the cross, rising again to declare victory, so that you could also take part in that victory. So if you're like, how could God forgive? How could he possibly forgive this person? The greater question is, why would God want to? He's perfect. But he chose out of love to put that sin upon himself, to die on the cross, to become sin for the sinner, and then give forgiveness as a result of his work. There's this meme that, and I've talked about this before, but it's a person who first becomes a Christian, and the top of the meme has, Jesus loved me and died for my sins, and it shows them like really happy, and they have the smile. And then the next thing is, the Bible has 66 books and all these different authors, and it's written over a 1,500-year time period, and it's like, all these knowledge. And then it's the next picture is a person that's like, oh, this brand of theology or Calvinism or Arminianism and these different points, and it's all these different scriptures, and the person has like a consternated face. And then at the very bottom is the person coming to the place of maturity and saying, Jesus loved me, he died for my sins. The simplest things are the ones that we need to master. I don't know all the things about the Bible. I've spent my whole adult life trying to learn as much as I can. And what I've learned over the last couple decades is that I don't know a lot. The more I get to know of God, the more I realize there's so much more to know about him. But one thing I know down pat is that Jesus forgives. And he is willing to forgive when you come to him in repentance. He is willing to forgive when you recognize that he is Lord. He is willing to forgive when you truly realize that he is God. and that you allow his forgiveness to transform you. And you allow his death, burial, and resurrection to be your everything. The work that he did to be the basis of your everything, the confidence, all of it, because of Jesus.